Who right now is as busy as anyone in Australian basketball because you're on the San Antonio Spurs staff, and I think this is the perfect place to start. How does an opportunity like this come about once the NBL season is done?
A few weeks ago, I got some messages from the Spurs organisation about coming over and being a guest coach, and ended up. First of all, I thought it was a prank, and I ended up speaking to Matt Nielsen, and he assured me that no, it wasn't a prank. I was being invited to come as a guest coach to the Spurs for NBA Summer League. So that's how it all sort of evolved from there. But yeah, I feel very lucky that I've been in the orbit of, the Sydney Kings and connected with Chase and RC and, Matt Nielsen as well, to be given this opportunity to come over and be part of the Spurs this summer.
And what are you learning? What are some of the takeaways? I know it's only been a few days. You've got another week over there, and there's probably endless things that you can describe. But I imagine being in an organization like San Antonio is a pretty wild experience.
The biggest thing I've taken away is the people and the environment that's created. I think that conceptually and style of play, working with the Kings the last 2 years and working under Chase has held me in really good stead for that NBA sort of style. And I think the Sydney Kings play a very similar style to what we see over here. So, a few different terminology things are a bit different, but overall, I feel like I'm pretty well prepared for the style of play and what they're doing defensively and offensively. The people they employ, I think, are carefully curated to match their values of this organisation, and you can feel that every single day when you walk in the building, when you're around the staff, and when you're around the players.
And out of all the teams you could have gone to, San Antonio right now, there are more eyes on you guys than anyone else and any other team in the league. The arena's sold out every single time, which is not usual for Las Vegas Summer League. So what about just the attention on the entire team and obviously one man? We can get to that, but what has that experience been like?
It is a circus. It's complete chaos, but they handle it very well, and I think they do a very good job of making sure that the players are focused on what we're trying to achieve at Summer League and how they want to play as the San Antonio Spurs. But it has been a complete circus everywhere we go in Vegas, particularly for Victor. It is just cameras and people and everyone trying to get a glance. I've never experienced or seen anything like it.
Yeah, you mentioned Victor. I'm not going to ask about what he's doing on the floor. He was dominant, which was awesome to see after the first game, where understandably he was a little bit nervous. But I can't wrap my head around, if you're 18, 19, you've got the attention that you were just describing. How does he handle this?
He is such a lovely human being. I think that's the biggest thing that I've noticed about him. He's so graceful. He's so friendly and tries to connect with everyone. All he wants to do is engage with his teammates and the staff, and just be his best version every time he steps out on the floor under the brightest of lights and this immense pressure, and people talking about and judging him in 20 minutes of basketball, which for me is just absolutely insane. So he has been such a wonderful person to be around, and I feel very lucky that not only did I get to be there for his first game and his second game, but I think just to be in his orbit and you actually just see what a great human being he is.
Speaking of great human beings, we welcome Kane Pitman into SportsCenter Australia. We just saw you talk to Fleur about what this circus is now, of course, with Victor Wembanyama, this Wemby mania surrounding the Spurs. But what kind of buzz have you heard around the league surrounding what we've seen so far from Wemby, Kane?
It's been interesting speaking to the many Australians that are in Las Vegas right now and asking them to compare this year's Las Vegas experience with perhaps years gone by. And clearly Las Vegas Summer League has continued to build year on year, but this is next level. And we heard from Adam Ford, who is the head coach of the Cairns Taipans. He's also on the San Antonio Spurs staff. And he mentioned the fact that he's walking into the building about 6 hours before the Spurs play, and there's already people lining up outside to get in and see a first-hand glimpse of what this man can do, the number one overall pick. So it's clearly different. I love the fact that Fleur really leaned into it, called it a circus. That's exactly what it's been. But I think anyone that is around, either as a fan or certainly for Fleur and Adam with the San Antonio Spurs, I would imagine an experience they're not going to forget.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about that when Fleur was talking about what that circus is, and you were asking her about her learning experience on the court. But of course, she's learning that now off the court with this Wemby situation. Now, he's not the only international sensation, of course, Kane. What can you tell us about the relationship between the NBA and the Sydney Kings front office?
Yeah, well, with the San Antonio Spurs in particular, and we didn't hear it there, I think you can catch the full chat on the ESPN Australia YouTube page. But Fleur mentioned that R.C. Buford, who is a longtime executive with the San Antonio Spurs and the father of Chase Buford, who is the two-time NBL championship coach with the Kings, R.C. went up to Fleur as the teams were still celebrating the Kings' back-to-back titles and said, you got any interest in joining the Spurs in the summer? And she said, sure, I'll go and do that. And then she laughed. She thought it was a joke, but ultimately she has got this opportunity. Now, Fleur's very modest, and she may have played this down and said that the Lynx might have helped her get here. She's absolutely got the opportunity on merit. I think that she is a coach that could move into the NBA ranks as an assistant to start if that's something that she wants to pursue moving forward. But no doubt the Spurs, the Sydney Kings, some serious links there.
Yeah, she has to look at herself in the mirror and know that she got this opportunity herself, as you just said, because you also mentioned the Sydney Kings, those back-to-back grand finals, of course, but they've lost some key pieces, of course, with Xavier Cooks and Deja Vasiljevic. So what will their road be like to a three-peat, if possible, Kane?
Yeah, and Chase Buford gone as well, so a new head coach. So there's going to be a number of questions for the Sydney Kings. First will be playing style. Fleur mentioned the fact that there were some serious similarities between the way the Kings played and the NBA style of game. Really fast-paced, one of the more dominant defensive teams in the league, led by that man, Xavier Cooks. So there is going to be question marks around the playing style, but they have been able to bring back the majority of the second unit. And if I'm a Kings fan, I wouldn't be too worried. I always have some serious faith that they're going to be able to bring in star imports. I would keep an eye on the Kings over the next week or so here. They might be close to inking a couple of names and maybe some players that might be familiar to fans of the NBL.
An exciting future, of course, and that was a great chat that you had with Fleur McIntyre. Kane, we appreciate it. We won't say goodbye to you. We'll see you in just a few minutes.